What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius video, and we're going to be looking at the Final Fantasy 9 units. I know I'm a little quiet about this event on my channel because I already made a small news video and that's all I really needed to know. There's a lot of other things going on, including some old 7-star changes, which I'll be getting to in another video. Not this one, because this is only for Final Fantasy 9 units. Anyways, let's get into the review, shall we? So Steiner's STMR is okay. Not very high attack, so it'd be really great for someone like Gabronth, for example, like to have all that defense. I don't know if you can equip great swords though. I don't remember if you can or not. If you can't, then this is not that good, except for Steiner, I guess. So he's 100% chance of doing physical AoE cover. Of course, when I say physical cover, I mean AoE. So you should just assume that, not the targeted cover. That's kind of outdated. So general, physical, and avian and stone mitigation on cooldown. 50% for all of those, by the way. It's pretty high. He has a 50% chance of being targeted passively. All you need is that new Moogle trend that you got from the stage there. And it's permanent now, guys. I guess I forgot to mention that in the Chronicle Battle video. The Moogle charm there is permanent, so you can always have a Moogle charm no matter what your account status is. So if you just started playing, you can get a Moogle charm. If you played before, you get a Moogle charm. If you played way before then, you have 2 Moogle charms like me. So just want to point that out very quickly. 150% TDH with a shield, and also I don't know what they really call it. It's not really TDH, but it kind of is, because you can equip a shield, I suppose. And 200% defense TDH with a shield. And I would probably prefer the 200% TDH defense, because at least he has 200%. I mean, 150% starting from 150% is kind of hard to do. Apparently you want to make him TDH anyways. It seems like a waste for someone who wants to be a tank. There are two-handed evasion swords though, or evasion weapons, so maybe you could take advantage of that. 75% avian mitigation, physical, magical, and also reflect 4 spells for all allies, and there's a reason for this. There's a combination with that, so you definitely want to take advantage of that limit burst there. And really, this unit is only good for Vivi, with Vivi I mean, for his reflect limit burst. He has low attack buff, 50% in 2021, and also his breaks are very low at 70%. So he's only useful for Vivi for his limit burst and maybe some cover and mitigation, but he's a 7-star unit, so he's not going to have that high stats. So I don't know if I can even score him, because really you're only bringing him because if you have Vivi, you're bringing him along. Because if you don't have Vivi, then you're not even going to be using Steiner. There's just no reason to. It's like eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without the jelly. You just don't do it, right? Well, I mean, you do it, but as an example, it's not really one of those things you do. It's like hammering a wall with no nail or screw or anything like that. You gotta have Steiner and you gotta have Vivi to make the combination work. So I don't know if I can even grade him. On just basis on his stats alone, he probably would get like a 5 or 6 out of 10. With Vivi, of course, he gets a little higher at 7 out of 10 because he's more useful and you need him in your team. So it's kind of it's like a gray area how to score him properly because he needs a certain mechanic in order to work. So with that being said, let's just move on to the next one right away here. Beatrice or however you're going to pronounce it, is the one who got Neo Vision Awakened, and boy did she get a Neo Vision Awakening. So infinite turns, triple cast on her normal form, so she can triple cast all of her abilities now. I just wanted to mention that because she can also because it's different. I suppose some units don't have triple cast on their base form that get Neo Vision Awakened, so I just wanted to mention that. 5 times cap or 600%, or 5 times cap or 500%, and she'll also have 600% or 6 times cap with Lightning's STMR, the Savior Souls version. 200% human killers, 100% chance to magic cover, by the way, in a Brave Shift form. I believe she also has the cover in her normal form, but I think this is the one you want to use in her bracelet form. And also dual cast for white magic and all of her abilities, which is a unique thing. That's never, I don't think this has ever been done before. One of her dual cast abilities, you can just dual cast black, or you can dual cast white and green magic, as well as her ability. So you could cover, and you could use one more for white magic as well at the same time. That's never been done before. That's really interesting. 85% general mitigation for herself, and also 5k HP barrier, which is nice. The downside is it costs a lot of MP. I think it costs 100 for that, so you can't really spam it. Or it costs 11 it costs something. It's not a cooldown, but it does cost something, I believe. 75% mitigation for all abilities on her Olympus, and also nullify one spell. I was trying to apologize for the sniffling, as I woke up with a lot of coughing and things. Hopefully I'm not getting sick again. Anyways, 200% spirit TDH, so you can use a shield with that, and also 200% spirit. I just wanted to mention that 200% spirit passive is quite good. It allows her to get insane stats, I believe, is what people have marked up as. She can have like 40k HP and also 5k spirit, although you wouldn't really want to build her like that, really, because of course most magic tanks want to have some elemental resistance. There's very few cases where you can just make a super ridiculously strong HP and spirit tanky magic tank. You want to worry about elemental resistance too. So yes, 5k spirit is tempting and cool, but at the same time you kind of want to build some other things too. And she is getting she's the first one, I think, who's going to get a +3 awakening, which is interesting. I knew they would do it eventually, but so she's going to get a +3 awakening on their live stream. They showed it off, and also just her base form is not really anything special. Like, they mostly ignored all of her stuff. She's not going to be a strong damage dealer. She's more of a magic tank now, guys. So just think of her more as a magic tank than a damage dealer now. Her damage dealing days are long gone. She's now going to be the knight for your team. So what am I going to be giving her? An 8.5 out of 10. For having a lot of mitigation and very easy to obtain all that mitigation. On top of 100% magic cover for all allies, of course. So 8.5 out of 10 for Beatrice. New Vision Awakened. Very good unit. Let's go on. Now here's the other piece of the puzzle. We got Pure Black Mage Vivi here, and his STMR is a power creep of another hat, although Ark's hat could be still better in terms of abilities, because it does give that Olympus Gauge fill rate buff. I mean, not buff, just a passive. And also Heinz gives some elemental resistance, which isn't that useful, but this is the power creep now. It has a 72 magic, guys. So this is going to be quite a lot of explanations going on here, guys. This is a very deep explanation unit. He's not simple. I think I may have said before that he's simple, but that was before the one passive that got parsed correctly. So there was a passive that got parsed. So he has an interesting mechanic of he increases his reflect black magic by 20% damage, and then it becomes a tag chain. I think I don't know how it's gonna work. Is it instant? I'm assuming it's instant. And also he has a 5x cap, or 600% if you have Lightning's STMR, or 6x cap with Lightning's STMR. 100% avian killer, which is, I guess there's gonna be an avian boss soon. I mean, or something, because a lot of these, well, of course, Final Fantasy IX would have avian killers, because the final boss in the game is avian, even though he doesn't look like one. He's typed as an avian in the game. So of course you had avian killers. Unfortunately, for most cases, avian killer is really mediocre to useless, besides maybe dark visions, because they like to do those kind of unique niche races. Fire, lightning, and also ice imbue for all allies. Not all at the same time, of course. You can pick and choose, and also you get a 15% elemental boost with that. Plus it gives a chaining ability for the element that you picked. So for example, if I use the fire one, so it gave fire, AoE imbue, plus 15% elemental damage, plus we get a chaining ability for fire. So that's pretty interesting, right? He's a magic ramp user and also a mod ramp user. I don't know if anyone's going to use his magic ramp because he has a lot of things he needs to be doing. He can't be just sitting there like Mellow, where you're just going to keep using the move that he gets boosted with for magic up to 500%. I don't think he has time for that now. He needs to use both of his lone bursts in order to do damage. So I don't think you're going to... And also you need Steiner, like I mentioned before. You really need Steiner for this to work. And the reason for that is because Steiner's lone burst. Apologize again for the noises. And anyways, no infinite turns for Akan. His TDH is very low, interestingly, in his normal form. Only 150%, so now you have to be a little more creative. And you have to use quite a lot of slots in order to make him good. Unfortunately, unlike Luna Freya, where you could just make her true to wield, you can't make this guy true to wield because he doesn't have any true to wield. He has 0, zip, none. He has no dual either, so you'd have to use an incredible amount of slots to even make him true to wield, and I don't even know if that's worth it because he doesn't have the 6x cap. So it's a tough situation in his base form. In his brave shift form, at least he has more TDH, but in his normal form, it's kind of a yikes in terms of TDH. That's the biggest negative I can think of, and it requires Steiner to be effective, so you need to make 2 spots on your team for Vivi and Steiner at the same time. So you can think of them both as a chainer, like a chaining duo, I suppose, like in the actual game, right? So I guess we kind of get our tag team duo, not the way that we would like, but it's similar. It's similar because Vivi can imbue. If you think about it, it kind of is the same as like in the game. It kind of is. They need each other in their own way. Vivi can imbue, just like in the game. So yeah, and ridiculousness. With Steiner and Vivi, if you get Vivi built up correctly and all the things that are done correctly and you put all your ducks in a row, his mods can go in the thousands and thousands and thousands. You're not gonna be able to one-shot Demon Chimera, I'm pretty sure, but you're probably gonna take a huge chunk of his HP in one move. So, yep, Vivi is pretty good. I'm definitely gonna be giving him an 8.5 out of 10 as well. He would have been given a 9 if his TDH would have been just a little higher. And also maybe some other killers would have been nice to have, because now you have to... This base form's gonna be yikes to gear. I'm sure it's possible, I'm sure there's ways, but unfortunately there's no 200% TDH. There's only 150% from Elena's STMR. So it's a bit of a yikes. It's a bit of a yikes. I'm sure people will figure that out. Maybe I'm overthinking this, but I think that with experience with me gearing mages all the time, TDH ones especially, it's very hard to juggle killers and TDH. It's insanely hard. So, with that being out of the way, let's get onto the last one of the banner, Swift Thief Zidane. And his STMR is way too long to list. Way too long. It goes on. It's basically a song. It's getting a bit of hype, but there's also some people that might not think it's worth it. And honestly, since it locks you out of using a move, you can't really... This is really just a Dark Vision's STMR, if you want to think about it that way. His TMR is much better anyways, for him. It gives him evasion, it gives him static attack, I believe. And also just want to point this out, the other previous CG Zidane, his STMR is getting buffed, so if you equip that onto this Zidane, he gets more attack as well. So it'll be pretty interesting to see if you can actually get to 6k attack or not. We'll see. So he has 600% or 6 times cap, 100% attack, and this was interesting. He also has 100% spirit true to wield. So I guess the spirit's going to go up by quite a bit by just dual wielding, I suppose. 50% chance of being targeted passively. Also has 50% magical and physical evasion. That's not as special because you guys might start going crazy because I said 50% magical evasion, but Ace already had that. The wildcard Ace, he already has 50% magical evasion, and it did not matter whatsoever. But if you guys care that much, you could use the highest you can get is Mortigan and Rod that has 30% magical evasion. Maybe there's something else, but when I looked at the encyclopedia on the FFBE builder, it looked like Mortigan's was the highest. Everything else is 20%, so you could pretend, okay, you could get 100% physical evasion and 80% magical evasion. I just feel like, personally, if it's not 100%, it's worthless because you can still get hit, and more times than not, you're gonna get hit. I've in the past, I've experienced building characters because I didn't have, when I was a new player, I didn't have a lot of evasion, so I had like, you know, 70 to 80, and I was still getting hit a lot. So anything below 100 is just worthless, and I don't think they're ever gonna anytime soon make any so you can get 100% magical evasion, because that would be ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, guys. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. So, anyways, let's move on. 100%, 150% avian physical magical killers for all allies, which is nice. 230% full buff for allies while chaining wind. And in his Lunar Burst, he has a 250% Lunar Burst damage buff for all allies. This is not for himself. This is for everybody, which is interesting. That's pretty huge. That's a huge buff for everybody, by the way. Just throwing that out there for everybody, in case anyone wants to know. That's the highest buff you can ever get. Even some units that buff themselves can only do like 200%. So 250 is really ridiculously high. He's a Stardust Ray Chainer. He also has in his Lunar Burst. This is the thing that you guys want to talk about the most. In his Lunar Burst, his Ray Shift form can get up to 295 times finishing mod after 3 uses, of course, and also 150% attack and spiritual duel in his Ray Shift form. 200% plant killer, which is pretty nice. Always like to have some unique race killers, because you never know when something like that might pop up. Might be getting Malboro Extreme version. Oh my god, that's scary. That's just scary to even think about. Ugh. Let's not think about that right now. So there are some negatives, and there's quite a few of them, but you guys saw a lot of positives, so there has to be some negatives. He has fire chaining and wind chaining, but no self-imbues. Very similar to back then the CG Squall, who had wind chaining, but he didn't have any imbues. It's the same thing here, no imbues. I don't know why why they do this, because he has non-elemental chaining that he could be imbued with. He has 110 times mod in his Ray Shift form that he could be using, but no imbues. I really don't understand. He has no imbues anywhere in his kit. He has wind attacks in his normal form, but he doesn't have any imbues. Like, what? Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Now you have to have someone who can imbue him for you. It's a little ridiculous how they're making so you have to have an imbuer now for a lot of these units that require, you know, elemental chaining and things like that. His Lunar Burst is also non-elemental, which I guess is a blessing and a curse, because now you could just imbue him with whatever element you want, but now you need an imbuer. So it's not as big of a deal as that, because there are some units that can do that, like the Elric brothers, for example. Wow, this review is getting really long. Let's wrap it up here, guys. No Albi fill rate passives in his Ray Shift form, so that's a huge yikes. He needs a lot of help to get his Ray Shift form up and running. 80 Lunar Burst cost, guys. That's a gigantic, and it's big pain, and no infinite turns as well. So you can't even like set it at your own pace to get. Oh, I'm just gonna fill up his Lunar Burst, you know, every so often. Nope, you need to do it within a few turns, or else he shifts back. So he's very good, but he's also very hard to use in his Ray Shift form. At least you need to have someone you need to have a dedicated team in order to make him work. You need an imbuer, you need LB support. Okay, so overall I'm gonna give him a 9, because I'm pretty sure he's gonna be the number one finisher in the game now. But what last one Reagan have as being a finisher, they still have that 70% break damage, and Zidane does not. So for those you guys are sweating about, oh, I just pulled for last one Reagan and now Zidane's here, just keep in mind that last one Reagan is much easier to use. They have elemental boost, they have imbues, they have a variety of killers, I think, right? And they can cap very easily, and also they have that. The biggest thing overall is that 70% break damage to break dodge enemies. That will always make them better than most other characters. I'm pretty sure Zidane will still be stronger, but versus break dodge enemies, I think that might be a little different story. So I'm gonna give him a 9. Wow, oh my god, I'm sorry guys. If you watched all the way to the end and didn't skip all the way through, make sure to type in hashtag Final Fantasy 9. or FF9, or FF1X, as in room. We could do the Roman numerals version. FFIX will be the keyword for the ending of this video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like the video, and I appreciate you guys watching all the way through. If you did, if you skipped all the way through, that's fine too, because you just want to know about the unit that you're interested in. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you